think I speak for all of us when I say that one of the hardest things about this pandemic has been the fact that travel has been restricted. But that doesn't mean that we can't look forward to a time when we'll be able to explore the world once again. In this session, I'm joined by Carrie Marr, who is the Weddings and Honeymoon Coordinator from Barrhead Travel, and we're going to chat about all things honeymoon related and give you lots of inspiration to plan the holiday of a lifetime. Thanks for joining me today, Carrie.
Thanks for having me, Natasha.
So I'm going to start with probably the most obvious question, which is how easy is it to actually plan a honeymoon and book a honeymoon right now? And what kind of advice are you giving to couples who are looking to do that?
Well, I think more importantly now than ever before is use the services of a reputable travel agent. We are in constant communication with tour operators, tourist boards. So we have all the official guidelines on, kind of when travel resumes and, all the restrictions in resorts, etc. So always use the services of a reputable travel agent. Not only that, we offer financial support, protection, confidence, customer confidence is paramount just now. And if you try to do things yourself, you don't have the support of the travel agent.
Yeah, I think that is really important. And I think that must be something that everybody's worrying about just now. And I guess having a travel agent there gives you that protection, and it means that you guys obviously, this is what you do, this is what you specialise in, so you know exactly what to do if plans have to change and if restrictions are introduced and all that kind of stuff. Now, planning a honeymoon is different to kind of planning a regular holiday, and I think a lot of couples feel quite a lot of pressure to make sure that it's going to be the absolute perfect holiday of a lifetime. So what kind of advice do you give to couples when they're trying to kind of figure out where to go and how to whittle it down?
The first thing that I would usually say is try somewhere once in a lifetime, try somewhere new that neither of you have been before. Nothing would be worse than walking down the street that your partner had been with somebody else. So trying somewhere new once in a lifetime would probably be the first thing that I would say. Financial, everybody's budgets are different, so that obviously does play a part in it. Now we can obviously come up with something for any budget, and quite often weather. If you're booking your wedding for July, that might not necessarily be the best time to go to your dream destination. So obviously we would kind of give advice on where to go, when to go, and sometimes it might be better just to have a mini moon right after the wedding and then delay the actual honeymoon to a time when it was maybe better to go to the destination that you actually want to go to.
And in your experience, are there particular destinations that you find to be more popular than others, and why do you think people love them so much? I'm just thinking about places like the Seychelles or the Maldives, where do you find to be the most popular honeymoon destinations?
Maldives is always up there, and I think everybody knows why. It's that picture perfect, this, tiny little desert island, sun, blue skies. But other destinations such as Thailand, where it's exotic, the Caribbean is some of the best beaches in the world in the Caribbean. And for the people that are a little bit more adventurous, maybe Africa, doing an African safari. Again, that's hugely popular for us.
And do you get to try out going to these places and things like that? Because obviously you've got to be able to recommend where to go. So is there anywhere that you've been personally that you've thought, wow, this would be amazing for a honeymoon?
Lots of places, believe it or not. So yeah, I've been very lucky. I've been to safari in Africa. I've been in the Maldives, and they all offer something really unique, really different. I actually had my own honeymoon out in the Caribbean. I was in the Bahamas in my own honeymoon. Some of the most gorgeous accommodation, some of the best room. Some of the rooms that in the Caribbean have got their own pool out on the balcony. So yeah, there's lots of really unusual, lots of really romantic destinations out there.
Another good option, and a thing that I've found kind of grown in popularity definitely over the past wee while has been people going on twin centre honeymoons or multi-centre honeymoons, where they're kind of picking out a few destinations so that they can maybe do like a city break for one part of the holiday and then maybe a beach break for another part of it. Are there any kind of destination combinations that you think work well together?
Yeah, I mean, again, because most people think that long haul honeymoons are the best. The natural flight path, if you're heading east, would be via Dubai. So Dubai is a great stopover for the Indian Ocean, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, even kind of going down to India, etc. Yeah, Dubai is a great stopover destination. Heading east, New York, Miami, down to the Caribbean. There's loads of different combinations that we can come up with. America itself, you can do the LA, Vegas, San Francisco multi-centre very, very easily.
Yeah, I would actually personally recommend that one. I did that a few years ago and it was one of the best holidays ever. I absolutely loved it. Are there any trends that you've noticed for the next few years ahead? I know it's like quite difficult to look into the future right now, and that's the kind of biggest thing that we're all struggling with. But are there any destinations that you think are going to become more popular for honeymooners? Anything that you think that people should have on their radar?
Well, Maldives is certainly it's always there, but over the past few months, I mean, we have been getting quite a lot of inquiries and bookings for Maldives for 2022. So people are starting to plan ahead again. And Maldives, Africa, I don't. South Pacific, we've had one or two inquiries for South Pacific, but that does tend to take a longer time to get it and cost more.
So I imagine one of the most fun things about booking a honeymoon is having that opportunity to just really splash the cash, not feel guilty about it, and go for things that you wouldn't normally go for when you were booking a holiday, like very, very fancy hotels, for example. I wondered if you could tell me a little bit more about some of the kind of coolest hotels that you've seen for honeymooners and what kind of services they offer.
Yeah. I referred earlier to some of the Caribbean suites that had pools out on their balcony. That Sandals Grenada was the first resort to do that. We've got hotels in Atlantis and Dubai, for example. They have some of the most incredible suites, one of which is called the Poseidon Suite, which is actually underwater. So when you open your curtains, all you can see is the massive big aquarium. So yeah, I mean, there's some really cool hotels out there all over the world. In Bali, for example, you can stay in a treetop, a tree house in the jungle.
That sounds absolutely incredible. And I suppose one thing that people must think about these days, maybe more than 10 years ago, is Instagram and how things are going to look in photos and things like that. Do you find that that's something that people are maybe a bit more concerned about these days?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that trend. There are several hotels that are known globally, as Insta famous hotels. I mean, there's one, a boutique hotel in Ibiza, of all places, called Wiki Woo, which just is really on trend just now. So that would be great for stag or hen weeks, just that whole party vibe. But in terms of honeymoon, Maldives just gets that picture perfect all the time.
You're really making me want to go to the Maldives. I'm just craving it so much. Obviously, yeah, it's I've never been, but one of my friends went last year and was absolutely raving about it, and yeah, didn't want to come home. It just looked so gorgeous. Obviously, like you touched on budget earlier and how that's something that people have to consider, and not every couple is going to have the budget to go somewhere like the Maldives. Where would you recommend for people who maybe don't have as much money to spend and but still want to kind of go somewhere very special, and they just want somewhere maybe that their money is going to go a bit further?
Well, what I would probably say to anybody booking a honeymoon would be, don't stress about going 5-star all the time. Sometimes booking the best room in a 4-star hotel is better than having the lead-in room in a 5-star hotel. So you can still have that element of luxury. Again, doesn't have to be 2 weeks. You can do shorter durations just to make your budget stretch. Mini moons again, Europe has some of the most romantic places. So again, it doesn't have to be that ultra luxury long haul 2 week traditional honeymoon. There are lots of ways that we can make whatever your honeymoon plans would be extra special.
And I guess there must be some destinations as well where generally things are just cheaper there, as in like food and drinks and things like that. Is there anywhere that comes to mind where maybe people can just stretch their money out a bit more because the cost of living isn't quite so high?
Yeah, I mean, for example, Asia, it costs a fraction of the cost to eat out in Thailand or Bali than it would in Dubai, for example. But a lot of the hotels in Dubai will, at various times of the year, maybe do a free half board special, or they'll do an all-inclusive package. The Caribbean is renowned for its luxury all-inclusive, where you spend more on the actual honeymoon, but you could literally go for 2 weeks and not spend any money at all. So it's having a look at what that overall pot of money looks like, picking the right destination, and deciding whether or not we're spending 90% of the pot on the holiday and 10% spending money, or whether we need to be a wee bit more economic with if you're going to the US, for example, then you would need to factor in spending money and food costs that you wouldn't have if you were going all inclusive in the Caribbean.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, and that's totally something that I would say is important to think about from my own experience as well. Just when you're saying about going to America and things like that, I've been there and I spent a lot of money eating out, especially in LA. It was just crazy money. Like I remember going for breakfast one morning and it was like $70 or something like that. It was just it was insane.
Yeah.
Whereas I went to St. Lucia on a press trip last year, which was incredible, and it's one of those places I had in my head was like so expensive, but actually because like a lot of the resorts there are kind of that all-inclusive option where you're getting your drinks and your meals and things like that, it did work out actually cheaper than going to America.
Yeah.
And what about people who they don't want to go on the typical honeymoon? They like kind of going off the beaten track. They maybe don't want to go somewhere that's too touristy. They want to kind of feel like they're discovering something new. Is there anywhere that you would suggest they should think about?
Yeah, I mean, we've got things like the Canadian Rockies would be, a beautiful romantic destination, and not everybody goes there on their honeymoon. South America, Brazil, Argentina. There's lots of different combinations that you can do. You could pick the states, but do the national parks rather than your Disney World. So again, it's down to the individual. And Barrhead, under normal circumstances, we have a team of wedding specialists who, with an appointment, would sit down with the couple and find out a little bit more about them, their likes, their dislikes, and kind of what they would want the experience to feel like, and then we can try and match up the perfect honeymoon for them.
And is that something that people can do just now, even like on the phone, or are you doing like video calls or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, the branches, we do have video appointments. We have face-to-face appointments in some of our stores just now. So yeah, we can definitely do that.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for joining me today, Carrie. I'm absolutely desperate to go on holiday now, but I know I'm going to have to wait a wee while. But yeah, that's great. We've got lots of inspiration for people going on honeymoon. And thank you very much for joining the sessions today and coming along to the wedding show. Don't forget, you can still go around, visit some of the exhibitors in their booths, and make the most of all of the special offers available today. Thank you.